podcast episode number 4. It is January 1st, 2024. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year to everyone out there. I hope you all were able to have a great time with ringing it in with your family and friends. Myself, didn't do any of the typical New Year's Eve partying that I feel like is really starting to die out anyhow. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but what I did was I stayed at home with my wife. We cooked ourselves a delicious steak dinner, got real stoned, and did puzzles and watched documentaries. It was awesome. But yeah, since the last time that I talked to you guys, another thing that I did between Christmas and New Year's was I got to get away to a Wisconsin cabin for I was about to say the weekend, but Thursday through Saturday, and it was a great time. If anyone's looking for a way to decompress a little bit between the holidays, I would highly recommend a quick trip to a cabin. Being somewhere that's remote and cozy is just really did it for me. But yeah, I mean, it was a good time as to be expected. The cabin was in Wisconsin Dells, which, if you're not familiar, Wisconsin Dells is a really touristy town in Wisconsin, right on the Wisconsin River. It's about, I want to say about an hour northwest of Madison. So it's not too close from where I am, but it was well worth the drive. And yeah, if you guys aren't familiar again with Wisconsin Dells, it's kind of like a real tourist attraction in the Midwest. I remember going there when I was young. I'm talking possibly 1992, 93. We made a family trip up to the Dells in the summer. I don't remember too much, but I do recall, I think there was a rented van of some sort, and I remember it just being fucking hot in that van. The seats being all prickly, I think. I remember that sensation. I remember the seatbelts being hot, and I remember the drive feeling like it took forever. But yeah, I definitely intend on going back. I think Wisconsin Dells I'm not sure if it's still looked upon as like a huge family hotspot, but the thing that I noticed when we were there, our cabin was a short distance away from the actual like main strip of Wisconsin Dells. But there are a ton of bars and like nightlife, and I don't know how family friendly it is. I feel like it's transitioning more into kind of a party town, but I may be wrong. But in the cabin, it was typical cabin activities. One of the things that we were worried about when we got to the Airbnb is they were very adamant about the no vaping or smoking in the house. And given the activities of choice amongst me and my peer group, we took a calculated risk. We figured if we were cooking Korean food in the Airbnb and we weren't going to get in trouble for that, a little bit of, what flavor is this? Strawberry banana vape wasn't going to hurt no one. While we were there, we worked on a puzzle, which I haven't done in a really long time. And the puzzle is let me share this with you guys. The puzzle is a cool one. It's a $2 million puzzle, they call it. Oh, wrong page. $2 million puzzle. So what it is, it's about $30 to buy a puzzle. It's 500 pieces. It's just a QR code. There is no image that's given to you. So I guess that makes it a little bit tougher. But you put the puzzle together, scan the QR code, enter in a code that comes with the puzzle, and that determines which of the cash prizes that you'll win. Every single puzzle that you buy contains money, they say the puzzle doesn't contain money. It enables you to win money. And it ranges from $1 to $1 million. So step one, build. Step two, scan. Step three, win. And I am stuck in step one. I haven't done a puzzle before. I thought it was like kid stuff. So we had the two children that were there tasked with taking the lead on the puzzle. And, it's a tough one. I think they had a hard time. We were able to get all the edges, I think, completed. But because we weren't able to complete the puzzle during the time that we were there, unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not going to split the prize money with you anymore. And these are the prizes and odds. I thought this would be interesting to share. So there are $1 million inside two of the puzzles, 500,000 inside one, 250,000 inside two, etc. And I did a little bit of math. And so here is what I came up with. So, here's the same table from before. The total prize money that they are going to be giving out is a little north of $4.8 million. The number of puzzles that they have created are 600,000. And given the different bundles that they are pricing these out at, in terms of just pure revenue from the sales of the puzzles, we're looking upwards to, like, if everybody that bought a puzzle, and assuming all 600,000 puzzles were sold, they spent to make almost $18 million. Or if everybody bought the bundles for $10 a pop, we'd be looking at $7.5 million as the potential revenue. Average price per puzzle sold, assuming, because I don't really have a good way to assume or know how many of the bundles are going to be sold or in what distribution. So just taking the average, $18.75, and the break even number of puzzles that they would have to sell, assuming the average holds true, is around 260,000. So yeah, it's a fun idea. I hope I win the million. Oh, hell, I'd even take 1,000. It's fun. It's cool. Thank you, the guys that made this, Mischief, MSCHF, for doing this. And yeah, I think this is a really fun, good idea. So in addition to that puzzle, we also did a lot of cooking in the cabin. The first morning that we were there, Sierra and I whipped up a good old-fashioned breakfast fry-up. I made my world-famous fried eggs. Nothing really special about them other than the fact that I made them. We, lazed around the cabin for a while, sang some karaoke at night. That was fun. We did an escape room in Lake Delton, not too far from where we were at. It was about like a 20-minute drive. And yeah, I hadn't done an escape room in a long time. I have done one other escape room before when I was living in New York. Didn't really have any idea what I was doing then. Didn't really have any idea what I was doing this time either. I think my biggest struggle is I was just going around trying to solve puzzles randomly. I don't know if there's supposed to be an order of operations in which you're supposed to do these things, but who knows? But yeah, that was a good time. And now, time for the meat of the episode, what it is that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Yeah, so January 1st, with the new year, I know a lot of people talk about New Year's resolutions, which are all good, fine and well. If you have one, I hope you stick to it. But something that I've been doing over the past couple of years is coming up with a word of the year or a theme of the year, instead of just a single resolution. I know people say you gotta have set SMART goals, things that are specific, measurable, realistic, and timed. But this is I don't care about that. The word of the year, the theme makes sense for me. The very first time I did this, the word of the year was flow. Um, when I was announcing this, I wasn't doing a podcast or anything like that yet. So I posted this on my Instagram story, and this was in my mind a way to keep myself accountable by sharing it with the public. And so flow. More precisely, my aim this year is to get better at buying in and committing to the flow of life. To go with the flow isn't a rationalization for passivity. Depending on the circumstance, the way to go with the flow is to grit your teeth and steel yourself for another day when things just aren't going your way. To make difficult decisions and break bad news when things don't go according to plan. Or celebrate big wins and milestones fully, allowing yourself to really bask in the bliss of the moment when everything fits into place and you just know you've hit nothing but net. Everything's temporary and everything is always changing. The only perpetual truths are those that describe the transitory nature of flow. In order to start surfing the waves of the flow, be sure your attachments are to sails, not to anchors chained to rocks buried in the depths. Keep your head on a swivel, knowing that there's nothing that can be done about inclement weather, but that storms are meant to be braved. Keep it moving, but do it with the confidence that your choices and actions are driven by and a part of the never-ending flow that makes up everything. Holy cow, I've got to pat myself on the back there. But yeah, so the word flow, that was something that I came up with for. I didn't invent the word or the concept, but it was a theme that I wanted to directly apply to my life in the year of 2022. The thing that had led me to choose that, it was a vision that I had one night. And it really was, in my imagination, the way that I see everything, right? And then I'm not saying all the individual things, but I'm saying at the meta, the ultra meta level, it just occurred to me that everything is a part of the if you've ever seen a picture of the Milky Way or of a galaxy, I just pictured this gigantic. In my mind, it was like a starfish, but obviously much more complex. But it was rotating very, very slowly, and if there's that poem by Carl Sagan, Pale Blue Dot, and I knew that in the movement of the universe, I'm only a speck on the speck that is the pale blue dot that is the planet Earth, and that I'm only here momentarily. And once I came to that realization, it was one of those realizations in my life where it was hugely impactful on the way that I perceive what it is that I'm doing with my life. So often me personally, I know this is something that I struggle with, but so often we get so tied up in hitting certain marks or achieving specific goals, regardless of how specific things are or how specified they are and things like that. The goals are just goals. They're, you set them with the hopes of achieving them, and that's it. But the thing that I wanted to get used to was, given the fact that I'm this insignificant speck on this ride, not getting too caught up in trying to change the way that whole thing is moving. The thing that really made me, a thing at the root of that was when I was getting into and reading a lot more about mindfulness and the value of it and what it is that we're doing, and how when athletes and performers, they get into these, or I guess anyone doing anything that they're really into, they're able to enter this flow state. And people that practice mindfulness, they claim that this flow state was, that was achieved by these athletes and performers, is the same as the flow state that, or the state of mind that is achieved when people are meditating and are really honing in on their mindfulness. And that, to me, was a part of being in the flow, to be as mindful and as present as possible in that year. The year after that, the theme of the year was being the most Dave Choi that I can be. So being the most genuine and authentic version of myself. And, I feel like those two things work together in that, sure, I was practicing mindfulness and trying to just go with the flow. But quickly you realize that the life that you're living, or the decisions that you had made in the past that have led you to the current state of things, things are out of whack. You keep trying to go with the flow, but the way that your life has been configured up to that point, you start finding these little obstacles, and you keep bumping into them, metaphorically or even physically. And, just like rivers in a stream that keep getting, that keep enduring the abrasion of the water, things like that have to get whittled away. And in being more genuine or being more authentic, I think life is too short for us to assume that we can just continue living, and eventually the obstacles that are in our way will be just worn down through our constant bumping into them. I guess depending on what it is that you're doing, right? But it was an unintended benefit that I came to realize this, but the only way to truly be genuine and authentic is to actively take steps to put yourself in better alignment with what, the configuration of life that will have you going with the flow. And, this isn't to say that it's possible to live in the flow. It's impossible to control our environment, for example, like nature. And we know that nature may always throw us a curveball, whether it be something like extreme weather or a pandemic, things that are beyond our control. What other people do is also beyond our control, right? So knowing that those types of inputs are going to be coming into our life, and there's nothing that we can really do about that. The decisions and the actions that we're able to take to get into better alignment really boils down to these little leaps of faith that you have to make in order to make a change. And, they don't have to be massive jumps. They don't have to be quitting your job and starting to pursue your dream career, whatever that may be. I don't think it has to be as drastic as that, but I do think that there is value in getting practice at making those changes so that you can better go with the flow and so that you can be more genuine, authentic. Something that I feel could be improved let me be let me be a little bit diplomatic here. Something that could be improved or could be leveraged as a way to um, instill or nurture the understanding of um, following your own path, or being more genuine or authentic in what it is that you do. Um, right now, I understand that the scale of the education system makes it difficult to standardize this, but really, placing more emphasis or priority on developing a curriculum that allows students to explore things that they may be more genuinely interested in. Um, Unfortunately, I feel that when you're a kid, all that you really have access to are the things that your parents put in front of you or are given to you as schoolwork. Um, Obviously, things are totally different now with the internet, but unless it's internet usage or time using the tablet that is specifically programmed by the parent, or done with parental supervision, I don't think there's any real way to guide children to anything productive in terms of things that they could be trying out. Granted, childhood or growing up is all about doing that on your own anyhow. So I'm not saying that, we need to make it so that children can only be taught by their parents or through school. But, as educators and as parents, I think there is an opportunity to be more proactive in enabling children to explore these things in life that will teach them about the learning process over and over and over again. Where I'm going with that is that there's a quote by an old Japanese, I believe he was a samurai. His name is Miyamoto Musashi. The quote is, "Once you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything." And, when he is saying the way in that quote, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. The way is the path of learning. So, the way that the education system is currently set up, although there are micro levels within it, but say the standard K through 12 education system that we're working with today in the United States, the perception and also the way that the completion of school is celebrated, it sets it up in a hierarchical fashion where it's just assumed that people in the lower grades don't know as much, and therefore as you are accumulating this knowledge and information through your academic career, when you get to the point of graduating high school, you have amassed a certain level of knowledge that is going to prepare you for the real world. And from a facts and knowing how to do things, like pay your bills, use a computer, things of that nature, while that may be true, it's ultimately a very just a practical matter only. It essentially creates people that know how to navigate the societal structure that people are living in and growing up in, but it tells them nothing of how to be a learner. And this is, I talked about jujitsu last week, and I'll talk about it a lot on this podcast. But the thing that jujitsu was able to introduce back into my life was a form of an ability or an opportunity to familiarize myself and immerse myself in the way again. The way being, in this case, in the beginning, you know nothing, you're terrible, you suck, you keep at it, you improve, and you gain competency. Like I was saying before, the education system, so many of our systems that we have, that are social constructs, if you will. It's built like a pyramid where there's a highest level that everyone is striving toward, and progress is measured against the strata of that hierarchy that exists in whatever that thing may be. It's, instead of being approached as something, a practice, a way of doing things, that piece is really left up to the individual. And I understand that there may be limitations on the resources that we have that could enable this, but the value of instilling this type of learning how to be just a student of life is something that I feel like would benefit a lot of children if this type of information were to be more baked into the curriculum. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but I'm just talking about my personal experience and when I was in school. But okay, so all that being said, so that's how my flow and being more genuine and authentic tie in. But believe it or not, this year it also relates. The word of the year for 2024 is hope. The inspiration for this word first struck me when I was browsing through Facebook Marketplace looking for furniture. I do that sometimes. And I came across a big wooden chest, and the name of the listing was Hope Chest. I had heard of what a Hope Chest was before. I was vaguely familiar. But when I came across it, I was like, let's figure out what a Hope Chest actually is. Is it anything other than a big wooden chest? And I went and found this website. It's called AmishHandcrafted.com. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it was surprisingly good for a Amish handcrafted furniture website. Okay. So, what is a Hope Chest? Fascinating truth about the Hope Chest: history, purposes, and legacy. And this was published under Tips and Tricks for AmishHandcrafted.com by Chris Stoltzfus. And Chris, you fucking knocked this one out of the park, dude. And let's see how this thing starts. Opening the lid and peeking inside a Hope Chest. Does hope attract you? Hope is an attractive word. Our lives are fueled by hope. Dude. Absolutely. So whoever thought of combining hope with a beautifully crafted wooden chest deserves special credit. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so it turns out a Hope Chest is a wooden piece of furniture that is traditionally used by young women to prepare items for future marriage. The items which the women fill the chest with symbolize anticipation for a happy and fulfilling future as a married wife and household manager. And yeah, I get it. That's like an antiquated way of thinking for some people. But please don't bite my head off for thinking that I think this is a beautiful thing. And it made me realize that there was a lack of hope that everyone could rally behind. And it got me thinking about that. And that's why my word of the year is hope. As I am on this journey to be self-actualized, to be as Dave Choi as I can be, to go with the flow as freely as possible, Um, I've come to understand that once I'm able to be myself and move through the world as myself, um, the next step in the equation is really finding purpose for myself. And this purpose is really driven by hope. And this is the reason why I think hope is so important. As an individual, when you are looking at the world and at your life, it's really important to take as objective as a look as possible, but through your specific perspective, and identify things that you care about, and invariably, regardless of what that thing may be, if you are able to keep and hold this sense of hope within you, when you are looking at something, you will come up with and you will be able to find ways in which you hope that this thing that you care about, how you hope it will be, how you hope it will continue to be, and you will find purpose in expressing your hope through action to this thing that you care about. And I feel like people don't talk about it enough, because when we learn about these words in church as kids, or when we learn the definition of the words in school, people learn it, but it's not really something that's widely discussed or discussed as far as application. There are very specific scenarios in which people use the term hope. And a lot of times it's very trivial. Like, oh, I hope the Bears win tomorrow. Or, oh, I really hope I get this job. And it's, I don't want to downplay the significance of people hoping that they're able to get a job. I understand that. But what I'm trying to get at here is, like, what is the hope behind the hope that person has for getting that job? The hope for the job, it can be fueled by a lot of things. Primarily, in the society that we live in today, people are finding themselves hoping to be able to put food on the table, hoping to be able to make sure they can pay the gas bill so that they can have heat through the holidays. And the curveballs that life can throw at us keep us in a constant state of being off kilter, off balance, not centered, where the hopes that we have are all things that, not all, are initially primarily the things that need to be taken care of in order so that we're able to find balance. Maslow's hierarchy of needs states this very exact concept, except instead of identifying them as things that we hope for, there's a layer of abstraction that has to be applied to make this more universal. But the hope for the basic needs, the hope for shelter, for food, those are all very real things that when we don't have them. And, one way of thinking about this is, as I said, in the society that we live in today, many people are faced with living in situations where the things that they hope for are not the things that will, give them the type of hope that will give life a purpose. Not to say that these people are without purpose or that their lives don't matter. That is totally not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that for those of us who who find ourselves with the privilege of having our basic needs met. Um, for many of us, for having a job that we've been at, having made a lot of money, having had opportunities provided to us to go and do fun things, go skiing in Aspen, go, I don't know, salsa dancing in Spain. These are all like, to hope to be able to do those things, I think, is another type of hope that exists. I'm not poo-pooing it, but that's not the hope that I'm talking about either. I'm not talking about the hope for more superficial, I don't want to say frivolous, and I didn't mean superficial in a negative connotation either. I just meant, not deep. But, to hope for those types of fun, extra things. It's fun, it's fine, it's good. It's not the hope that I'm talking about. The hope that I'm talking about is the hope that everyone can have about how it is that the kind of world that we want to live in. I'm not going to go ahead and say that it's even possible to define a hope for, any group larger than, say, I don't know, like a small team. But hope is, at the end of the day, a very personal, individual thing. It's as unique as our fingerprints. It is based on the situations that we all find ourselves in at this current moment. And considering that I'm the only one sitting in my basement talking into a webcam, there's only one me, and there's only one me that gets to define what it is that I'm hoping for. And so what hope means for me is, and what it gives me is purpose. My hope is that I am able to share my perspective on the truth of the matter behind who it is that we really are. Again, we are more than all of the numerous layers of all the attributes that we used to use to define who we are as individuals. The layers of attributes, they start, again, I think I've talked about this already on the podcast before, but the layers all start from the moment, even before you're born. The moment you're given a name, the moment your sex is determined at birth, the moment you are brought home from the hospital, and depending on the type of neighborhood you live in, the type of parents that you have, how aware they are of, the responsibility of raising a child and their priorities in life. All of these things external to us are things that we are born into, and a lot of times are things that we become accustomed to considering our identities. But at the very, very root of it, the awareness that lives inside each one of us, it goes deeper than just our brains. We are the awareness that is watching our mind, that is watching our bodies, that enables us to interact with the world. And my hope is that by sharing my testimony of this understanding and helping contextualize these things through my observations in my own personal life, that I'll be able to instill this sense of hope in others and give them this same purpose of wanting to find their true selves, to focus on the things they truly care on, to identify opportunities on how they can hope to improve it. And at the very root of it, again, My belief is that once we can get enough people on this vibe of coming to that understanding, the problems in the world are going to be addressed, not through systematic change, but at the grassroots level. I'm just an individual. I don't have the ability to change policy. I don't have the ability to know what a good policy would be in order to make the type of changes that I want to see in the world. I'm not, that's not me. I don't have that ability. I don't know if anybody does. What I do know is that I have the ability to hope that I am able to provide value, to provide service, to provide love for the world and everyone on it. And, I hope that if this way of thinking takes off, or, my hope is that this type of thinking will spread and be more common. But that all is dependent, again, it's all based on the root understanding of who we really are. Yeah, we're all connected. We're all one. Love your neighbor as yourself. I have hope. I hope you do too. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Bye.
You are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms. You will return to those realms. You will return.
I have a friend who, when I've introduced this friend, I've always said this sort of thing, because most of you say you are not prejudiced people. And if I say I have a friend, you say I'd like to meet them. You're a friend. And you could handle any friend I lay on you in terms of weirdness. Well, my friend Emmanuel hasn't got a body. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know about that. Well, he's my friend. It's not your problem, but I don't know whether you have imaginary playmates, but I do. I have lots of them. They enrich my life immensely. And Emmanuel has a great sense of humor. He's absolutely delightful. And I asked Emmanuel, I work with people that are dying. What should I tell them? He said, tell them it's absolutely safe. Who wouldn't love somebody like that? He said it's like taking off a tight shoe. Dying is like taking off a tight shoe. Because where he's looking, he did it already, and he's sitting around, he knows. And he's saying, what are you making such a big deal out of the body? It's just an incarnation, no big deal. Well, what happened was that I had gotten, throughout those years, I was busy sort of putting down my physical body and my personality. I was so neurotic.
And my body was not quite what I wanted it to be. I just figured I'm going to get out of this.
I'm going to get high. 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 And then at one point I said to Emmanuel, what is my work? What should I be doing on Earth?